You want to know what happens next?
Oh, boy.
If these things keep continuing?
I'm excited.
We got this story from the Daily Mail. The moment Louisville diner pulls handgun on armed BLM protesters after they surround upmarket restaurant during Kentucky Derby demonstration for Breonna Taylor. The unidentified man is thought to have been eating at upmarket La Chasse, I don't know how to pronounce it, on Saturday night when he confronted the group of around 50 people. No, they confronted him. He was sitting at a table eating, and they came up to him. I love how they frame these things. They had been marching ahead of the 147th Kentucky Derby over Taylor's death at the hands of police. Footage shows as the diner points his handgun. At protesters who shouted him. A female demonstrator urges the protesters to continue moving down the block. A police spokesperson confirmed that the protesters were also armed. There were at least 5 arrests. Charges include possession of a handgun by a convicted felon, failure to disperse, and evading police, according to reports. Well, I will just say very quickly, possession of a handgun by a convicted felon, that should not be a crime. You shouldn't lose your right to keep and bear arms simply because you've been committed a crime, in my opinion, but I digress. This is what we're going to start seeing. I mean, we've already seen the in Portland when I think it was Aaron Danielson took 2 to the chest from the Antifa guy.
Yeah.
We're going to see more of this. We saw it with the McCloskeys. Antifa, BLM riots, they're going to be marching through. Regular people are going to say enough. And I pay homage to V for Vendetta again. That scene at the end of the movie where the inspector is narrating and he says, eventually someone will do something stupid. And it shows the cop shoot the little girl who's wearing the mask and refusing to abide by the law. It's not one for one, it's not identical, but eventually someone will do something stupid. The rioters will show up to a restaurant and they'll show up in the wrong neighborhood and a bunch of the dudes there are going to be armed and they're going to draw their guns and then one of these rioters is going to start shooting somebody. Or the other way around. Someone shoots back.
Yeah. Well, it's definitely going to get worse before it gets better. It's definitely going to get dangerous, and that's the problem. But I feel like Democrats are okay with this. You know what I mean? I think they're okay with it even getting violent because they want to show, like, look at these conservatives. They're unhinged. They're violent. They're domestic terrorists. You know, that's how they want to frame us. So I think that's why we're going to continue seeing this cycle.
Well, the problem is the people who vote for Democrats don't pay attention to anything.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, I learned that.
So you don't even need conservatives to do anything. This is the other problem conservatives are having right now. It's just conservatives seem to think that even though they're being cheated, if they keep playing, they'll eventually win. Like something we described yesterday. It's like, imagine you're playing Monopoly, watching, this person take money out of the bank and just cheat. And you're like, well, as long as I keep playing, maybe I'll eventually get it. It's like, no, they're cheating, dude.
Yeah.
The media, look, the Democrats come out and they're like, the biggest threat we face, white supremacy in the far right. And there's like one riot from the right in like a year or 2 years, or I mean probably a lot longer than that. And then you have on the left just a year of buildings being burned, destroyed to rubble. You had that guy at the sports bar in Minnesota where he shows up the next day after the riots, and as he's walking in, they're stealing his safe, and he's on camera crying. But don't worry, the FBI's not going after those people. But they found a pole rope in a garage in a NASCAR. They sent out a dozen plus agents for that one.
Yeah.
Then you get the Capitol, and they got billboards, and they got photos. And CNN's still talking about it. It's because they have a large base of really, I don't want to be mean, but let's just say really ignorant people who don't care. Right? So Biden's ratings are in the gutter, CNN's ratings in the gutter, MSNBC, they're all in the gutter because these people don't care at all. They don't watch the news. They're tribalists. They just want to fit in and say whatever they have to say. And conservatives think playing a game against them, they're going to win it.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think it was Michael Malice. He tweeted something earlier. Someone said something really dumb to him. And he responded with, I don't understand how people can be so black-pilled when we're up against this. And it was like a really dumb person tweeting. And my response was, zombies are really dumb, but when they're in hordes, they overrun you. And that's what's happening right now.
And they don't sleep.
Right.
That I know of.
The zombies don't sleep.
I don't think so.
I think liberals do sleep, but okay.
Yeah. I think that the military-industrial complex needs a villain to whip people into a fear frenzy, and now they're just using this Capitol riot on the 6th. CNN's complicit.
Because Trump's gone?
Yeah, Trump's gone. We're not at war with a greater foe at the moment, so they're looking inward to find a terror.
I think they just are trapped in a time warp. Like January 20th came, and then Joe Biden becomes president, and then Brian Stelter just like hit an invisible wall. And then he like freaks out and he's banging like, "Ooh, ooh," like watching everyone walk away, and he can't get past this invisible barrier, and he's just trapped in January 20th for eternity. Like think about how like that's a good idea for a horror movie
Yeah.
too. It's like Groundhog Day.
Some serious cash to watch Brian Stelter's dreams.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
I got some
I'd be
money
curious,
later.
yeah.
Oh my gosh! Like, what is he? Does he dream about guilt?
It's
Does he have
like
guilt?
it's like he's in the middle of the night, and he's in an old rickety house, just totally dilapidated, and he's like walking through the halls confused. There's a thunderstorm and like lightning, and then like the hallway is completely black, but when the lightning flashes, there's just Trump standing in the back, and he goes,
He's in like a glass cage.
and then he's running, but then when he gets to the door, he goes through the door to get out of the house,
Like
and
the
then
door is Mike Pence. And
No,
it's
no,
like,
no.
gets really big. All of a
as
sudden.
soon as he goes to the door, he immediately comes through the back door back into the house. And he's like, no,
He's a
no.
Pac-Man.
And he's tweeting, Trump is here. Trump is here. And then everyone else in the real world can see his messages. And they think that he's just lost his mind, but he's really trapped in this time vortex surrounded by evil Trumps. Or he's just obsessed with Trump and
Yeah.
can't stop talking about it.
I
But I
think
like
that-
my version better.
I think
Yeah.
scarier to Brian Stelter with Trump not being there because he has nothing to talk about or focus on. Ian, I don't think it's the military-industrial complex. I think it's the deep state or whatever they called it, like the unelected officials who stay in power,
That's-
the people who want.
But I don't like the whole deep state thing because it implies that the permanent politicians aren't part of it. No, like Nancy Pelosi gets elected no matter what.
That's
Interesting.
She just like stands there and then just like stands on a stage and farts, and they're like, yeah, and they vote for her.
I wonder
Yeah.
if that's part of it. Like those people that are in office for 40 years are kind of co-opted by that system. Whether they're like shaking hands with the people that are making the decisions or not, I don't know.
I think the system is just always going to prop up the most vapid and awful people.
That's so terrible.
I mean, Kim didn't win. No
Ugh.
offense, but
Thank you.
the
Yes.
good people don't get it. You end up with people like Kinzinger,
Did it
and
get
Pelosi.
twisted? Like it didn't always used to be twisted, right? It used to Abe Lincoln could win.
I mean,
Basically.
yeah, but it was
Then it
twisted.
Got twisted in like the 40s or something.
Sometimes,
Sure.
Ian, sometimes there's a glimmer of hope, and a saint-like hero emerges. We had Donald Trump. I'm kidding.
Saint-like, yes.
I'm totally kidding.
Statements were not connected.
Godly, yeah.
No, I think it's like there's, for one reason or another, politicians are always bad. But we had a few good people that just don't make it because you got to be truly vile to gain that kind of power.
I got to know, Kim.
Yeah.
I mean, you tell me about it. What was it like?
Yeah, so we thought we did pretty good, but unfortunately we weren't part of the establishment. So we didn't get support from the RNC. We didn't get support really from the Maryland GOP party. You know, they all had in mind who they wanted to run in the seat. And so when I won the primary, I think they were kind of pissed. And then when a video came out, they were like, whoa. You're drawing too much attention to a seat that we never planned on winning. We're not going to win it. We're not going to exhaust donors on you or volunteers. So please go sit down somewhere. You know, so they were kind of pissed that we got so much traction, I think, because they, you know, for our Governor Hogan is supposedly a Republican, and he's friends with the guy that beat me, Kwasi Fume, who is a very establishment Democrat. He was the former president of the NAACP. He was a former congressman in that seat before Congressman Elijah Cummings. And so he is part of that swamp, I guess. But Governor Hogan is friends with him. You know, they all are friends. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what aisle or side of the aisle that they're on. They're all friends. They grew up in this. They've been doing politics for many, many years, and they hold true to each other.
This is why they hate Trump.
Correct.
Trump is rich, but he's not part of that club. They don't like him. He's a bombastic weirdo.
Yeah.
And, you know, I have to imagine when he got elected, they probably were like, okay, Donald, you got elected. Now here's the plan. He was like, no, America first. And they were like, whoa, what are you talking about? And then they were like, we got to stop this guy. He's not in line with what we want to do. Take a look at Lindsey Graham. You know, he walks up to Kamala Harris on the floor and he like, what did he do? He fist bumped her or something. It's like, I don't expect them to be all enemies and hate each other. I like the idea that you can not agree with someone and still be friends with them.
Right.
But I think what you see from the likes of Lindsey Graham and people like Mitch McConnell is that, you know, I'm calling him Milquetoast McConnell. He doesn't do anything. Now that the Republicans have no power, all of a sudden he's like, oh, I'm going to fight for all the Republicans. Oh, yeah. It's like, bro, you had the power. You did literally nothing with it. You don't care. It's a show. That's it.
Political theater.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Politicians just go there and they want to pretend like they're doing something. It's almost like these big tech hearings we keep seeing where it's like we've had like what 8 now or just whatever,
many.
whatever the upteenth time that Ted Cruz yells at Jack Dorsey, and I'm just like, and I think Ted Cruz is all right, but at a certain point, I'm just like, dude, just stop. You're not doing anything. You can't do anything. I don't care to hear you yell at Mark Zuckerberg again. It's performative. It doesn't mean anything to me.
Like the founding fathers were scientists. Thomas Jefferson and Ben Franklin. I mean, Franklin obviously, if not invented electricity, discovered it for our culture. Yeah, invented it. Thomas Jefferson was a writer, a musician. I mean, I don't know. I know he was involved with the sciences as well. And those are the people running the country. And we kind of need that again. Not to have like theatrical, people that just talk a lot and get paid.
What it was is that the government running the colonies was thousands of miles away. So they had no choice but to have their own local governments. And then once you do that, they're like, y'all ain't even here. Why should we care about what you think? It takes you like 6 months to actually relay what we say to the king and back. So eventually just like, we should be independent. It makes no sense. Now, because of the surveillance state and, communications and big tech and all that stuff, they can control what you see and what you hear. Man, it's beyond creepy.
It's more about encryption than distance now. Like, how long does it take the computer to crack the encryption code on your message, as opposed to how far away is it being sent and how long is it going to take to get there?
I'd imagine they can crack encryption, and we think they can.
Yeah, even quantum encryption. There's that quantum cracking computers and things like that, I hear.
I'm willing to bet they've got quantum computers and can unrival even like the entire crypto market if they wanted to. But they just keep that out of the public eye so people don't know, and it allows them to maintain control. Yep. So
I think that Ian has a point because I was thinking about this and I was like, well, what would it be like if scientists were kind of like in charge and leading us? And then I started thinking about Ron Paul and Rand Paul, and I was like, oh yeah, these are people who like work out of the public eye, who actually have like in real life experience, unlike Joe Biden and Bernie Sanders, who've done nothing but work in the government. And I really think that could be maybe what we need again.
Right. I guess my question is, we all understand that in this room, but why doesn't the majority of the country understand it? That's the part that I don't get. Like, it's just so easy to see. And fortunately, I don't know if you guys know Congressman Jamie Raskins. He was kind of, yeah, I'm all about the impeachment. But a guy ran against him that I supported. His name was Greg Cole, and he's a rocket scientist.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he's like, I just don't know how to really get my name out there. And I was like, well, I'll help you as best I can. And like a very intelligent guy, but he still lost to Jamie Raskins, who does absolutely nothing. And it's like, of course, these politicians, they're politicians. They can't really do much because they'd be out of a job. So, it's this continuing cycle. But there's people now that are so upset, with what's going on in the political arena. And now it's like you have all of these people hating each other. Before it wasn't this bad, it wasn't as polarized.
It's easier to cheat.
Yeah.
And by cheat, I mean like sock puppet accounts on social media, fake opinion polls, manipulation, and propaganda is easier than honest arguments.
Right.
It's really tough to have a real argument with someone. It's a lot easier to accuse your opponent of like, some impropriety that they're forced to defend and then just create some scandal.
Yeah.
Jordan Peterson was just saying, or he's been saying, being honest. That's it. When it comes down to it, you may not like the result tomorrow or even throughout the years, but it is the greatest, most powerful thing you can do. Doesn't sell in politics.
No, I think it's honorable. And I agree with Jordan, in that sense that we should have scruples. We should be focusing on doing good. But come on. Do you really think that the average person in politics would agree with Peterson literally? They might publicly be like, that's a great thing to say, Jordan. We all got to be honest. And he's got his hand behind his back with his fingers crossed.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
It is powerful. Like, if you're ever honest about something you're ashamed of publicly, it hurts and you become made fun of. But then you become more powerful and calm in who you are. But it can also get you murdered and arrested and like thrown under the, like, just devastated for saying what society didn't want you to say.
There are some things that you can't tell the truth about. Right. So in terms of military capabilities, if we're looking at war with China, obviously we're going to have confidential top secret information, confidential, classified things, because if it gets out what kind of weapons we have and where they're going, then it puts us at a very serious disadvantage for potential military conflict. That I understand. I understand why sometimes we classify information. So there's a very serious challenge we have in this country of how you actually justify the wars we do without revealing too much that could compromise security of this country. I just happen to think, most of the stuff we hear about from these people, they're like, they get caught lying and enriching themselves. So I just don't believe that the political class are good people in any right. And there's a small handful. Ron Paul's a cool dude.
Yeah.
His kid's a good dude. There's a few other. Thomas Massey's cool. Tulsi Gabbard's pretty cool. They don't have to be right about everything, but it's like, are they honest? And I think they are. Unfortunately, it's like 5 people out of 535.
Jeez, and 2 of the people you named aren't even in politics anymore.
Right, yeah.
Ron and Tulsi.
Sad.
Who else do we have?
I don't know, man.
Because
Dan Crenshaw?
Crensshaw's all right. I think he's wrong
okay.
about a lot, but he's
Yeah.
all right. And I think one of the issues with the next issue is you might have some honest people, but then you get some honest people who are like really wrong. Crenshaw didn't Crenshaw support red flag laws?
He did, yeah.
Yeah, and Tulsi Gabbard opposed nuclear power. I think they're both great, but even then it's like, I guess if they're honest, I'd rather have an honest politician who's wrong than a crooked politician who's telling me what I want to hear.
Well, I think Senator Tim Scott, from what I could tell, is pretty honest. I used to be a huge fan of Congressman Trey Gowdy.
Oh, yes.
And he actually told me, because I asked him before I started to run, I was like, so what do you think about this? And he's like, no. He said, I would never, you couldn't pay me enough to go back to Capitol Hill. He said, they're all just terrible people. And he said, I didn't get anything done. He said, look at what happened with the Benghazi committee hearings. Yeah. He said, we could have a hearing till we're blue in the face. It doesn't do anything. No one's held accountable.
Or was it Scott or
Congressman Trey Gowdy? Yeah.
Tim Scott's pretty cool. I like that guy.
Yeah.
When he came out and was leading the charge on police reform, I thought that was a very good faith effort on the part of Republicans. Of course, the Democrats didn't care because they needed to weaponize this stuff. So they can't have a black Republican coming out and saying, "Okay, we'll do police reform." No, we need to tell everybody you're racist so we can get more votes.
Exactly.
So Trey Gowdy was telling you it's just he wouldn't go back. It was just
he even did some interviews. They're on YouTube somewhere, but he said there's no way. He said there's no way.
He also has a podcast, and I remember he used to be a prosecutor, and he used to bring the fire in those hearings, and I remember just being blown away every single time. And there's something about these guys who can make the strong arguments that have horrible hair, and he was one of those ones, but I love him to death. Yeah. He's one of those people who told the truth and didn't ultimately fit in because of that.
Right. And he said it's hard because you're going up against this machine. And he said, I'd rather just go back and practice law, and then I can actually hold criminals accountable.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want exclusive members-only content, segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.